Okay. This is the Selectmen's meeting for May 27th, 2010. First order of business, salute to the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of the minutes of the last meeting.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of last meeting as written.
Second.
All in favor? Approval of the new form for request for information.
Okay. Are we going to approve the minutes from the week before, Tony?
Oh,
Yes.
that's right. Okay. And did we make the, we
What
made
do
that
we change
adjustment,
it
that
to?
change?
Make a motion to approve.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of May 13th as amended.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. So those are all set. Approval of the new form, oh, we have to do the warrant first, I'm sorry. I jumped to signing of the warrants.
Get down through that fast, huh?
Oh, I just didn't,
Got a date?
there's usually something in between. No, I forgot if I did it. Done. Okay. We have no old business. Going on to new business, school committee cable request. This is a request from the school committee. They would like the upcoming public forum put on the website, and the APAT community board. All are invited to a public forum on the school budget at the Acton Elementary School on June 2nd at 7 p.m. There will be a PowerPoint presentation and a time for questions and answers regarding the budget. Refreshments will be served by the PTG. So we must vote. Okay this or not.
I make a motion that we post it on the cable community bulletin board and on the website.
I'll second that with a question. I was at the last school committee meeting, and I don't remember anything discussed about this at it at all. Was it? Judy?
Was it discussed at the meeting?
Yeah.
No, it was decided, a decision that was made after the town meeting.
So you're requesting that?
I sent the email today, yes.
Not the school committee per se, but you.
I'm requesting it on behalf of the school committee. If you want to say that I'm requesting it, that's fine with me too.
No,
You know.
I go to your meetings, and I just didn't hear anything about it, that was all.
Okay, we have a second. All in favor? Okay, it'll be on.
Wednesday, June 2nd.
June 2nd at the school.
Okay. Approval for a new form for request of information. This is just to update this form. It didn't have enough of the details that we need to ask, so it was updated with telephone numbers and emails to get a hold of the person and stuff like that.
That eliminated the two forms and made it into one, Tony.
Okay, so it's just a request for information form
Yeah.
that is filled out, and the reason we have this is that when a request for any information from anybody, it comes to the Board of Selectmen, and we sign it and give it to the appropriate person, or that's their job to find that information, so we make sure that we do it efficiently, and there's a paper trail to follow it, so it's done within the proper assigned time period.
I make a motion, we accept this form and admit it into our policy manual.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. That's that. Then we have the SMRPC annual meeting Wednesday, June 9th. at the
This is,
Town Club Sanford, next to
the
the Town Hall in
selectmen.
Sanford.
and the two on the committee are Tom Cashin and myself. If you want to go, if the town pays for those on the committee, if you want to bring a spouse or a guest, then you pay for the spouse or guest.
Okay,
I need to send it back how many are going to be going, that's all.
okay. So that's Wednesday, June 9th at 5:30 in Sanford. You need to know that right now?
Sanford Town Club.
I'll go.
Are you going?
I can go. Are we supposed to send someone to go?
What's that?
Are we supposed to send someone to go?
Yes, I'll go. You going?
I can go, that's fine,
Tom Cashin's not here, but he usually goes. I don't know.
unless one of you wants to go instead.
Make sure.
I can't make that.
I work Wednesday
decision
nights.
right now.
Okay, I will represent us.
You and me.
Okay, I'll be your date, Lorraine.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll check with Cashin.
Okay. Number 4 is signing the request for the proposal for reevaluation. This is the letter that will be going out to all of the people for quotes to make a proposal for how they will do the assessment of the town. And this just explains about the town of Acton, exactly what we're looking for. And the assessment has to be completed by September 1st, 2011. That's about pretty much it. Have you guys read this?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll entertain a
I
motion.
make a motion that we sign the letter proposed.
Second.
All in favor? Okay.
Here's a number 6 too. We've got an old agenda.
Okay, going on to number 5, discussion of the unknown property list that we have and what we want to do with these properties. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, first I'll make a motion, Tony, that we advertise these 3 properties again for sealed bid, so we can get them on the tax rolls if people will. We have people that have asked information about what the town's going to do with them, so.
So we're talking about a piece on Middle Road,
Yeah,
very small piece on Hawk Road,
yeah, not this one.
and then the 13th Street little
Yep.
piece again. So
Yep.
those are the 3 that
Yep.
that we have not resolved, okay? So Middle Road is about a $12,000 piece. It's worth about $12,000. Hawk Road is very small. It might be worth $800, and the 13th Street, I forget, what is it worth?
It isn't that it's just small, it is a back lot.
Back lot. And 13th Street wasn't a lot either. It was like.
That's just a parking space.
So we might as well put them all out again and try again at a
Yep.
different time of the year, you know, so. All right, you put a motion up to.
Second.
All in favor?
I do have to have some minimum bids, what you need to get for them.
Okay.
Joe, let's have Joe give us what those should be.
What's that?
Can we have Joe give us what those should be?
Well, we have these 2 here.
Well, usually we.
These are from Joe.
Yeah,
Joe's
yeah,
assessed
Joe
before
mentioned $800 on the one on Wilson.
Oh, okay, we can ask him again then.
We could ask him for a minimum bid.
Ask him
on it.
again. We can ask him again. Okay. So we will do that. And the other one's 13th Street.
Because on some of them, I don't think we'll get the tax amount that is owed, so probably we're better off to go with a valuation.
Okay. Do you want, was this yours, or you want to give it to her? Okay. All right. Number 6, a little discussion on the tax deferment program for senior citizens. Larissa, you wanted to talk a little about
Yep.
that?
On April 15th, at our meeting, we discussed the new tax deferral program for seniors that was passed at the state level this year as an option for municipalities. And we voted at that meeting to put a warrant article asking the people if they wish to adopt an ordinance in the town that would allow us as a town to defer property taxes for seniors over 70 years old that lived in their single residence, so they didn't have multiple homes, if this was their only residence, and that were at 300% or less than the poverty level. And we voted that yes, we would put that on the warrant. The next morning, I sent an email to MMA and I asked them for a sample ordinance because I said, good morning, we are looking to put Section 536 MRSA 908A before the people at our town meeting in June. Do you have a sample ordinance for this that we could use? Also, are we required to hold a public hearing prior to town meeting for this proposed ordinance? Thank you. And because MMA very often has sample ordinances that we can use to kind of jump from. That's what we did last week with the Recreation Department ordinance, warrant article. And I got a response back from Legal Services saying, I'm afraid we have not developed a sample ordinance regarding tax deferral for seniors. Due to several potential pitfalls, we are advising towns to work with their own legal counsel to develop ordinances. Here's a link to a legal note outlining some of the issues. No public hearing would be required if an ordinance is going to be voted upon at an open town meeting. A hearing would be required at least 10 days prior to the vote if the ordinance is going to be voted upon by secret ballot referendum. So the concerns are that the town would be acting as a bank. So I'm just going to read to you what they sent me. I know, but that's all of this too, though. Although this new program may seem appealing at first, municipalities should be wary and wide awake before adopting it. For one thing, deferred taxes means decreased cash flow. So to maintain the status quo, participating municipalities will have to find other revenues. There is no state reimbursement. This is a significant budgeting concern since all qualified seniors are eligible, and both the number of participants and their length of participation are unknowable. For another, the program imposes some new and unfamiliar administrative obligations, including special notices and extra record keeping. Failure to comply with these requirements could jeopardize the municipality's ability to actually collect deferred taxes. For example, the failure to annually record a list of tax-deferred properties in the registry would waive the liens. For these and other reasons, MMA has not prepared a sample ordinance to implement this program. And one of the things that we discussed the following morning during our workshop hours was what if we were to have a resident, and we are fortunate enough to have one, that lives past 100 years old, and they were to enter into the program at age 70. That would be 35 years for this particular resident that they would not have been paying property taxes, and that they would be deferred for. And how would that work out in the long run? So we as a board, my memory was that we as a board decided to not go forward with that at this time, to wait and see how other, larger municipalities with maybe more of an administrative force would craft an ordinance and how it would be executed, and see how that will work out in the future, and see what the pitfalls actually end up being before we jump in June this year and send that forward. So.
And there are other alternatives for a senior citizen that may have financial difficulty, such as a poverty abatement, and you said there was...
There's a circuit breaker program at the state level as well that's available. And it certainly is something that we should be looking at in the future. I've had a couple of people come up and say, why is it that we don't have some sort of tax forgiveness even for seniors at a certain age? And I think that as the economy tightens, it is hard to look at seniors, especially on their fixed incomes, and not find some avenue for relief for them tax-wise. But my memory was that we as a board decided that this was perhaps not the right avenue at this time, and that we would instead encourage things like the poverty abatement that would be a one-year commitment, or a circuit breaker program helping them through the paperwork for that.
No, just for the record, my memory is a little bit different. We voted to put this out for the warrant, and we did have a discussion the next day, but I never made a recommendation to postpone it.
I thought that I recollect when we got this information after the fact, that we said we were going to at least discuss it again.
No.
So that's what we're doing now. And I would kind of lean towards taking the MMA's recommendation of this right now. I think it's in the best interest of the town for us to go into it without getting some more...
Are you going to make that as a motion, that we accept the MMA's recommendation?
Well, so...
we really don't have to do anything. I mean, we haven't put anything forward, so.
Well,
Right.
no, but you voted, if you voted to put it in, then you should probably
We
have
did-
something
we did
voted
put
We
to
did
take
vote
it
to
out.
put it in, but we didn't put it in, and we've signed the
Right.
warrant so
Right.
that the warrant is not being amended again. And this doesn't mean that it's off the table for the future entirely. I think that the idea behind it is sound, and it is a program that I do hope that we continue to look into once we have some more data about how it's working. We need to find out, can this work at a town level? What are other towns experiencing with it? Because we really do not have the administrative staff to be working with a new program like this, in my opinion. We don't have a town manager that can be monitoring how it's going, and that we can certainly look at it again, even as soon as November, if we wish to. By holding public hearings, we would be allowed to put it on the referendum ballot vote.
So what do you want to do?
Well, we're not gonna put it on June regardless, so,
No, we're not, so we just leave it for now?
yeah.
All right, we'll just leave it for now and deal with it later. Okay. Under announcements, the clerk is looking for someone that's in the Green Independent Party. That's an actual separate party, Green Independent Party, which we have 75 members in Acton. And we need one of them as an election counter. The clerk needs one of them as an election counter. So anyone out there that's a Green Independent Party member, see the clerk, Jennifer Rue, if you would like to be an election counter for the coming election.
And it's a good gig. You're here from 8 p.m. and probably until midnight or 1 this year because of so many questions. You do get paid $8 an hour, and it's kind of a rush to get to count ballots by hand, and we're, part of the democratic process. It's fun.
Okay.
I would like to thank Mr. Vanel and Mr. Gore for their candidates night thing the other night. They did a great job. And, I would just like to thank them for the job they did.
There's a plant swap at the Mary Grant Preserve from 10 o'clock till noon on Saturday. The idea is that you can bring plants and then swap them for other plants that other people bring, but also in the spirit of helping the Mary Grant Preserve to become a more enjoyable place for everyone. Please do bring perhaps a small annual or perennial that you are happy to leave there, so that we can add to the plant population there. Second announcement is that on Sunday at 11:10 a.m. there will be the Memorial Day service at the monument here between the church and the town. It is brought to us by the church, but the town will be represented there as well. And we do have a veteran coming to lower the town flags during the service as well, so that will be nice. I have a list of currently serving service people. But if anyone else has any other service people that they know of that you have not yet given me their names, please let me know so I can make sure that we honor them on Sunday.
Okay. Barbara.
Okay, a week ago, I stood here and asked you why we couldn't have a nonpartisan publication on the cable station, and you said because it was a political thing. First of all, I want to say we originally started out with the initials PEG, Public Education Government Access. The candidates' night was held for the public purposes to educate the people of Acton about candidates running for office. That's government, the main purpose of bringing cable to Acton in the first place. An interesting turn of events took place on Monday evening. Carol came and said she was going to film the meeting if it was all right. And I said, it's a political meeting. And she said, well, that's okay. Isn't that weird? Last Saturday, I attended the meeting of the Acton-Wakefield Watershed Alliance. It was conducted and educational and information. Was that also a political event? And if not, why were you and Dennis up there talking about what's good and what's bad and what you're going to do and when you're not? And if Saturday's meeting was for information on the roads and water affecting our lakes and rivers, then why did you, Dennis and Tony, do politicking? And do you really believe that not re-electing Dennis will put in jeopardy the policies you have begun? Does that mean that you think no one else is capable to be selectman? Then I have one more thing I'd like to ask and get an answer to is, did you receive an email from Jim Driscoll that he sent a copy to you in response to a letter that Pat Hannon had sent to all of you. Did you receive an email?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Could you start with those questions
Yeah,
again
you
one
gotta
at a
do 'em
time,
one at a
Barbara?
time.
I'm sorry, you had
Okay.
so many that...
Well, not really so many. I just wanted to know why we would deny the...
Yeah.
Okay. Was the debate filmed?
The candidates night was
Was the
filmed and
candidates
it will be
filmed?
being
I can answer that.
Okay.
Scott and I discussed it, and we really went through the political programming portion of the policy a few times, and we decided that we would film it because our policy says APAT will air debate programs which all candidates are invited and referendum viewpoints may be expressed. So we decided to show up with the camera, film it, and then if it didn't meet that requirement, then we wouldn't air it. But then if it did, then we would be able to air it. So that was, you know, we wanted to at least get it on tape and then make the decision about cable casting it once we saw what the content was like.
And wasn't that what we asked you to do?
Yes.
Okay.
Did it meet the requirements? Will it be being cable cast?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I think there should not have been a dispute to begin with because it was nonpartisan. It was the PEG is public education
Okay.
government
I can
action.
explain why it was done that way. We explained it that last time that you mentioned it. Basically, we were given any official information about this. I didn't know who was running it. And nonpartisan.
Oh, yeah, you did, Tony. Yes,
Would you
did.
let me finish answering? Would you allow me to finish answering?
Tony, when you interrupt me, I lose my train of thought,
You
and
just
then I
asked
don't
it.
get to what I wanted.
You just asked a question I'm trying to answer.
Okay.
Okay. So when you brought this up, and it was answered last week, when you brought this up, for us to make an evaluation of something, we must know who's presenting it. Both parties have to be presenting it. Who's going to be the moderators? We had no information. Sitting down at this table, I had not received anything, he had not received anything, and I really didn't think I asked Larissa that.
Then how did you know to tell Jennifer to call Marion and say that we were denied? Because I was away. I had to be away Monday and Tuesday of that week.
That's what
And I asked Marion to find out if Jennifer could put that on cable.
I'll tell you why. And I said it last week again. When we got this information, it was one person asking us. That is not bipartisan. Normally, when a candidate's night is done, we say these are the two people running it, and the parties will recommend that we have this aired. Let me finish, which I knew at that time, so I couldn't okay it until we found out more information, and that's what Jennifer did. Then we gave it over to our cable committee, or the cable people that work there, to make a decision, and they made it. There's a proper procedure that we have to go beyond. But
You've contacted me at home for other things, Tony, and you don't think that you could have called up and said, what kind of meeting is this, and who's going to talk, and who's been invited?
No, I wouldn't call you.
Well, then Marion, she called Jennifer.
I wouldn't call Marion either.
In the future,
Okay.
I expect that from this event, in the future, candidates' nights, please have the parties contact the town to establish who's going to be the moderator, and that will take care of the problem from the very beginning.
I know myself personally, I didn't know who was doing it until you told me last week at the meeting, Larissa. It was Jim and Tom Gore. I mean, Chip and Tom Gore.
They were moderators at a
Right.
request of us.
Well, they run the meeting.
Okay.
So
All
what was
right.
your other question, Barbara?
Oh, the other question was, do you believe that if Dennis is not reelected, that there's no one else in town that could carry on your policies that you've instituted this year?
That's not what was said. First of all, this was a road committee meeting that was called by the road committee.
Watershed Alliance.
No,
Okay.
no,
It was a road committee.
no, it was a road committee meeting that brought in all these people, including the selectmen, to discuss roads with all the extra information, and it was an excellent meeting.
It was excellent,
And,
and it was very well moderated.
Yes, it was.
But the point I'm trying to make is at the end, when you were speaking,
Mhm.
you said, make sure you re-elect Dennis so we can carry on the policies we've instituted.
No, I didn't-
And that leaves me out there, John
No.
Q. Public, thinking, oh my God,
No,
isn't
you
there
are,
anyone else that can replace
first of all,
him?
Barbara, you're putting words in my mouth. I didn't say it exactly like
Well,
that.
you put thoughts in ours.
Yeah, okay, listen, if you're gonna ask me a question, let me answer it, okay? That's not what was said, okay? And you can watch the tape. But I don't even know if it's worth answering. I don't even know what you're getting at, okay?
Can I interrupt?
When someone, yes, you can.
Town clerk has said that we cannot discuss elections or candidates or anything like that in the town hall. The town hall is currently open, absentee ballots are available, and we, by law, cannot discuss any candidates.
Excellent.
Barbara, it's within 500 feet of the town hall.
Okay. Okay, and the other question you answered?
I will be glad to answer those questions in my office privately. with you.
We'll be through with that. The other question was about if you had received an email from Jim Driscoll.
Yes.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I just want to remind everybody that to have something put on the bulletin board, there's a form that's supposed to be filled out, and that gives us, the cable people, an opportunity to obtain information about what exactly it is, and, so that we can give that information to the selectmen. So if people use those forms, some of this stuff could be prevented from happening.
Was the form ever used?
No.
I just wondered if any of you folks had
Ms.
read
Ruma,
the...
please introduce yourself with your name, please.
My name's Nancy Ruma. Read the Maine Voices editorial in the Sunday paper. Well, having been on both sides of this, it was written by an attorney who works for Murray, Plum & Murray, as well as with the Maine Civil Liberties Union. And what they were discussing was the town of Falmouth, their town council, which wants to change rules so that it can cut off citizens mid-speech during public hearing, and their thoughts on that in regards to freedom of speech. And having been on both sides of the table on this issue, I can sort of sympathize with the town council. But it's an interesting article that you might want to take a look at. As I say, it was in this Sunday's paper.
I saw that on the news when that happened. I didn't read that, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Yes, sir.
The other thing is that I did request a year-to-date expense report, and I was looking at snow removal and the two different districts, and there was a difference, and I was told that a lot of that, well, David's here, a lot of the difference in expense was due to contracted labor, and I assume that's correct? No. No? Okay. Well, then good. No.
Most of that, Nancy, I can answer that.
Sure.
Because we've had that discussion.
I can answer that question.
Oh, go ahead, David.
The difference between my payroll...
Come up to the microphone, please.
Come on up here.
Yeah, I will step aside.
Perfect timing. Election's coming up.
Well,
No, I'm going to answer this question.
No, it's factual. It's financial. It's okay.
I've been asked this question by the Finance Committee, the Road Committee, and
The
my
Selectmen.
counterpart, the other Road Commissioner, made this a real big deal this one time. And this is my explanation. When I got called out by county, we went out. I ran the same amount of crew that the past two road commissioners have run for the last 6 years. I have two of the probably worst roads in the area to plow. And I don't know if you agree with that.
Oh, absolutely.
And myself, I honestly believe the other road commissioner sandbagged it this winter. There were times when we all went out, we'd all be out, and he'd have one or two trucks out trying to save some money. Now you can go two different routes on this. I gotta look out for myself, liabilities and everything else. It's an election year. And also, by looking at these budgets, compare them to the last so many years, how they were always so close, and maybe you can come to your own conclusion.
No, I was just wondering, and that's what I was told, and I thank you for your explanation, because if, I mean, obviously there's going to be a difference
there's gonna be a big difference, and plus you've got other parts of it, like snow drift. Milton Mills Road doesn't melt off quite like the H Road, all those other ones do, so.
Yeah, it needs a lot of pre-cutting and
Yeah.
things like that. Yeah, thank you very much.
I've been road commissioner for 6 years. I've done my...
We campaign,
No, I'm explaining my 6 years of being a road commissioner and plow for the town, because that's probably the biggest gig. Summertime it's how much money you have and what you can do. But the wintertime is very responsible. I mean, you have to be there. I've taken courses to learn how to put out salt. I've been screening the sand for the town for 4 years. I've been doing this job, and
Hold on a
I
second.
feel...
Scott, 1 second. Please, everybody, Mr. Mooney has the floor, please. Out in the audience, Mr. Mooney has the floor. Please let him speak. Thank you.
I feel that all this, I mean, I'm on my side of the road. I believe I have more miles to plow. I have more public areas to maintain and keep maintained, even when the public isn't there. And I'm not picking on nobody. I just felt there was, yes, I brought it up. I felt there was a very big difference, and I don't think there was ever a big difference like that ever between any road commissioners. Thank you.
Now, you can look at my numbers, okay? Now, I love the timing of this. This is great, okay? But when we went over this with the road committee and finance committee, okay, and Mrs. Mooney brought up this big sheet of paper there that explained the amount of hours that I was way over. Well, she couldn't add right, and she had half my hours doubled up because she added my vendors and everything else in with it. No, and it was proven, and we brought it to the selectmen and showed them. Now, the problem we got here, this is...
Okay, hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second, everybody. I think I'm gonna stop this here. Unless,
like to be
1
able to
second,
explain-
1 second, 1 second, 1 second. 1 second. Excuse me. This is not political. This is discussing...
I beg your pardon. It is political.
This is discussing the financial budgets of the road committee that was brought up by a question. That's what we're discussing. Now, I'm gonna warn you, keep it civil, keep it to the facts. If anybody gets out of line, I'll stop it, okay? Let's keep it... This is a financial...
I'm not running for anything.
But...
I'm not running
Okay,
for
hold on 1
anything.
second. Listen, I'll explain it again. This was a question brought up by Nancy Rumer about the finances of the road commissioners. It's finances, it's not political. Let's keep it on the facts, everybody. Okay, please, go ahead, Dave.
Now, one big issue we had this winter, okay? We put up, 2,500 yards of sand. I forget how much salt. I don't know if it was 700 ton, whatever. We put up 300 ton of salt this winter off to the side for...
Excuse me. Please, Mr. Winchell has the floor. Thank you.
Okay, we put up 300 ton of straight salt as for storage for when we needed it, okay? At $65 a ton, you can do the math. Now, during this winter, I would take out of that pile of salt if needed. I would make a pile for my guys. We monitored that salt pile. Okay, now, $65 a ton now. Now, when I come back there, my guys knew not to get into that straight salt pile. That pile disappeared in no time, okay? Now, he's treating his roads in a different fashion now he's treating mine. But he spent his money on the other end of the account that we're not looking at here, okay? He spent his on the $65 a ton for salt. I used the material we had to work it longer. And honestly, I didn't have any complaints. I didn't have anybody say that I wasn't on there doing my job or we were milking this job. Okay? Now, whether or not I want to sit back and say, okay, I forgot how this was. I'm not supposed to make my roads 100%. I'm supposed to worry about my budget. I'm not doing that. I make my roads 100%, And if that number we've got there is fictitious in the first place, we all know that. I believe Scott, all those years that they went over their budget, said the same thing. So, I believe the timing of this is poor.
Okay,
You'll
have, 1 second, listen.
Can we end this?
Listen, I'm gonna, okay,
Now-
finish up your facts, and then I'm gonna have Mr. Mooney come up one more
Okay,
time.
so my response is this. For the last so many years, there was always 3 trucks on either side, large truck, CDL trucks. There was always 2, either 3/4 ton or 1-ton trucks. Okay, I did absolutely nothing different. Scott changed his methods this year. Okay, now I don't believe I'm going to change my methods. I believe what we did was a good job, and yes, I'm accountable when my budget goes over. But I don't know how many times I had to call Mr. Mooney to get him to come out when county called. Okay, I was out there when I had to be out there.
Okay,
And you know what?
all right,
This is
I think you
just cheap
explained
campaigning for Mr. Mooney right
you
here.
explained it. Mr. Winchell.
Dave Winchell Sr. What we have here right now is political. It was a question between the cost between 2 road commissioners different. It's kind of odd that this is going to be brought up now when we had a northeaster and a blizzard, there was almost $7,000 more on the south end, more than the north end. I don't know why she didn't ask that then. She was right in the mix of it. So, and this is just, if these people want to support these things, when you're partners, these 2 guys are partners, and the darn snow removal is within dollars of each other. They make the payrolls out, and this is the fact, at their house, one house.
That's a lie.
And this cannot be, this is just a bunch of bull.
Okay.
It's political. That's all it is.
Okay, I'm gonna allow one more response from Mr. Mooney. Keep it to the facts of what you need to explain, please.
Well,
Thank you.
I just want to say sorry to the people for having to put up with this. Because, I mean, just the salt was eating. I've been treating my roads and maintaining the biggest route in town myself. 90% of the time, every storm. I have gone through record-breaking snow years. Record-breaking. 100-year rainstorm, Patriot storm. I've done my job for this town. I love this town, and I will. Thank you.
All right. We're gonna cut that off there. No more. That's it on this. We're gonna cut that off. We're going to cut this off.
Let it go. Can I just say one thing, please, Tony?
All right, go right ahead.
Just sit down.
Go right ahead.
Say my facts. I was brought up by Dave, and I would like...
Go right ahead. Okay.
Well,
And I'll tell you what, anybody else that wants to get up after this may get up. We'll go all night
Okay.
long if we want to.
But
I'm not stopping
I
anybody.
was brought up. Dave brought me up
Hammer
personally,
that.
so I need to say something. And I haven't said anything. All winter, I have not said anything. I've sat there, and I've kept quiet because Scott has asked me to. And I was told to shut up by Mrs. Winchell, Mrs. Joyce Winchell, about 5 minutes ago. You know, it's just not appropriate, and I've had enough of it. So I'm going to state a few things. I did make a spreadsheet this year. I did. Because Scott brought this up, and I'll tell you why Scott brought this up this past winter. He brought it up because there was such a difference weekly, and he was waiting for someone else to bring it up, and no one did. Now, if it had been Scott that had thousands of dollars difference every single week, he would have been hung by his toes, right at the beginning.
By who,
But
Holly?
weeks, by anybody that questions payroll that has been doing it. But weeks went by and nothing was said, and Dave was thousands over Scott every week. Every week, for 9 weeks. And I've got the payrolls to prove it. So he did ask. He asked a Warrant and Finance member. He said, have you looked at this? He should have asked you guys, but he didn't. He just said, have you looked at our payrolls? And then all hell broke loose. Now, should it have been Scott that have asked? No. It should have been the people that do watch these payrolls. I agree with that. But he didn't understand why nobody was saying anything. And Dave's explanation that Scott only cares about his road 75% and all that, that's baloney. That was a statement that Scott made.
It's quote that I said you cannot.
Let's
scrape
keep
your
it up
road
here.
100%.
Keep
You
it-
have to utilize
Listen,
salt.
keep it up to the podium. Keep it
Okay,
up to
it
the
was a
podium.
quote.
All right.
It was a quote that was made.
Listen, if there's one more out of the audience, I'm gonna stop the whole meeting.
It was
Please.
based on a private conversation that they had together, and they were discussing when they do decent together one-on-one, believe it or not, they really do. I mean, people had this big image, but one-on-one, I've seen them work decent. And they were having a discussion, and Scott's opinion was you cannot scrape your roads 100%, you can scrape them 75, and then you've got to plan on your material working the rest of it. And Dave took that and used it and turned it around, and then it was put in minutes. Hearsay put in minutes. It is amazing to me that gossip and slander is being put in road committee minutes. So, we did not have any idea this was being brought up tonight, Dave. We had no clue, and Nancy can attest to that. But when you are $16,000 more than Scott, you should have to answer. Everyone with a budget in this town, no matter what happens at election, should have to answer to the townspeople, including you, including Scott. Everyone. And when Carl Hodgkin sits there and tells you you don't have to explain yourself, I say baloney. You do have to explain yourself. You have to explain yourself to the townspeople just like Scott does. Thank you.
Okay.
Wow. This,
Nancy, you
this is not
started
the
all
reaction
this.
I was expecting. I was not prompted by anyone to do this. I asked for this information quite a while ago. The point that I was trying to make was when I received, according to David, erroneous information that he did, have to hire, that was the explanation that was given to me. I can't remember by whom, but that you contracted other people from out of town to do work, which ended up costing more. And I thought, gee, doesn't this sort of prove that our road commissioners do a very good job and do an economic job? And the idea was brought up a few years ago about the possibility of putting all the road work out to bid, and what a good job our past road commissioners have done and served the town well. And if we did go forward with this idea of putting our road work out to bid, it may not save the town money at all, and that was where I was headed.
The fact is, Nancy,
No,
hold up, Dave.
I didn't realize that was our question,
Okay.
part of the question there, and I didn't have to hire anybody else. Those are guys I originally already had in mind.
Yeah, and I'm
And
sure
actually,
you found the best
what
people
we
with
did-
the equipment
Yeah.
and the capability to do it.
But what we did was, we were actually able to save some money with some of these guys, because what we did is, as a subcontractor, we didn't have to pay them the rates that we were getting paid. Okay, plus the workman's comp, the FICA, all that stuff, they actually got paid as a subcontractor. So I mean, you weren't talking huge money, but, a couple hundred here and there.
But that was where I was headed, and that was the question.
But it was cheaper to hire the contracted help than it was to have
I
it
thought
be
age
town.
should be heard before beauty.
I hadn't finished my
Okay,
answer.
well, you're beautiful, so shouldn't
No,
age
go
come
ahead.
first?
Go ahead.
I overheard a comment that made me quite upset. I'm 83 today, and I was told that anyone that signed that petition was going to be gotten even with, and I wondered how many years I'd have to be looking over my shoulder
Now,
to
which
see
pet-
if I was next.
Which petition were you talking about?
The only one that concerns you, I'm sure,
Well,
okay?
can I ask you who told you that?
I heard it from a reliable source.
That I said that?
That you said it.
That I said that? Well, that's that is a
If you're
complete...
gonna get even, I'd like to know
Marion, that is not, I mean, should I even have to answer that?
I don't
Okay?
find you friendly.
One second, okay? That is exactly the type of propaganda that people put together. I have never heard anybody in my life I have never harmed anybody. I have never done anything wrong to anybody in my life. So whoever said that, well, you don't have to worry about it. I would, please, I mean, you know, that's the type of stuff, because they, and I'll say why, because they have no reason to recall me whatsoever. So they've got to come up to with these things that they're afraid of me, and I'm the last person in the world. I know John's a little bit nervous about me, but go ahead, Mr. Gannon.
I don't know if I'm proper to speak, but I'm Bill Gannon, from the Road Committee. What I heard when I've been on the Road Committee was that there were methods put in place so the selectmen could look at all of the billing by both road commissioners. And honestly, I've never heard one bad word about the work that's been done by a road commissioner.
Thank you.
Not a bad word, but either. And everything I've seen and heard, that financial process has been well documented, and I think that it's really pretty easy for you guys to be able to quickly say that there's no improprieties, because you see these reports every week, I hope, and you look at them. So I think on the basis of that, I support it. I think they've done a good job, and I thought the road committee did a good job of trying to put things in place of these types of arguments. It didn't come up that somebody did this and somebody did that, but that each person's work was actually looked at, written properly, and I thought that's been done. Am I not correct about that?
You're 100% right, Bill, that we have talked extensively about the cost of the wintertime, and there's great explanations on the payroll sheets, and we talked about the road committee meetings, warrant finance committee meetings, and some selectmen's meetings, and we do look at it every payroll. And I had a few concerns from time to time with David's payroll, and I asked him why things were what they were, and he explained it, and I was satisfied. End of story.
I think that from my perspective as well, yes, it is our responsibility as a select board to monitor where the money is going and to check on it, but nobody has gone over budget, and the road commissioners is an interesting position. They're independently elected. The people have chosen them, and they do answer to the people. They don't, yes, legally according to MMA, I guess we get to have some say to some extent, but my opinion is that they answer to the people that they serve. They don't answer to us necessarily. And I will repeat the same thing that Mr. Gannon said. I have not had any complaints this year. The roads were well cared for, and if they chose to spend their money in different ways, that's not necessarily our business if they're staying within budget. That's their choice, and that's why we elected them, was to make those choices.
Pat Main, on a lighter note, getting back to the town properties here. Of course, after we installed the lawn the first time, we had our first 50-mile-an-hour winds the next day, which really didn't work out. But the neighbor loved it, because I'm sure their lawn came in great. But this morning we reinstalled it, and I just wanted to thank the people that contributed on the project. I want to thank Mrs. Brazier for donating the loan. Came out, you know, nice loan. Thank you. I also wanted to thank Pat Stevens. He donated a loader, which we used all day to, you know, haul the loam and stuff. Also, Scott spread all the loam, which I think he did a great job. And as for myself, I've got 4 days on the project, and you will be seeing me water it daily. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I will second.
All in favor?